print, email, Facebook, Twitter. More WWII Dam Busters Tasmanian gunner, part of exhibition to mark anniversary of raid when Tasmanian man Tom Tammy Simpson flew with the celebrated 617 Squadron in World War II. He always wore something from home under his uniform. Rear gunner from Hobart was known to don his Tasmanian University Football Club jumper when flying with his crew. The squadron, better known as the Dam Busters, are immortalised in a film of the same name. They have a cult following of war historians for Operation Chastise, the bombing raids on German dams on May 16 and 17, 1943. But when Mr. Simpson returned home to Hobart after fighting in the war, he didn't talk about his role in the famous operation. He went on to study and practice law, and he and his wife Esme had 4 children. It turned out, the magnitude of Tammy Simpson's service was not something that his son Fraser was aware of during his father's life. "We were sitting down one night and the Dam Buster movie came on, and he just walked out," Mr. Simpson said. He would probably talk to someone else about it, older mates, but not us. "It's only in the last 5 years that I've been learning more and more about it." May 16 is the 75th anniversary of Operation Chastise, the pinnacle of the Dam Busters' World War II efforts. Mr. Simpson was the only Tasmanian who took part in the famous bombing. To mark the anniversary, English artist Dan Llewellyn Hall painted all 133 men who flew in the Dam Busters raid. Relatives of the squadron have gathered at the International Bomber Command Centre in Lincoln for the unveiling, before the exhibition heads to London. Mr. Simpson's son Fraser has travelled to the United Kingdom to attend, and he's staying with other relatives of the Dam Busters, who he's never met. They came together through a British Facebook group dedicated to the 617 Squadron. Mr. Simpson said since joining the group he's been astounded at the scale of interest the squadron draws, particularly in the UK. "It's insane, it's fanatical the amount of history that comes out through this group," he said. He said he believes the intrigue is due to the risky nature of the operation, and its success in slowing down the war. "The bouncing bomb, or the skipping bomb, was way ahead of its time, and the 617 Squadron were the elite bombing squadron of the war," Mr. Simpson said. "If you got on 617 Squadron you were held in very high esteem." Simpson, the only Tasmanian in 617 the Dam Busters, was a group of men handpicked by Wing Commander Guy Gibson, the commander-in-chief of the operation. Mr. Simpson's career in the armed forces began at Hobart's Anglesea Barracks, but he was keen to fly and left to join the RAF. His ambitions took him to England in 1941 where he trained and later flew in the only all-Australian crew. Mr. Simpson joined the squadron through his connection to Australian Harold Brownlow Mickey Martin, known to be one of the best bomber pilots. Guy Gibson picked Mickey Martin as a pilot for the operation, who in turn chose his own crew, and wanted Mr. Simpson on board. It was English engineer Barnes Wallis who came up with the idea of constructing a bouncing bomb, which would be used to attack German dams, in an effort to cut supplies and demolish bridges and infrastructure. May 16, 1943, 19 Lancasters took off, each carrying a crew of 7 men. GIF. Highlights of the Dam Busters movie. Play GIF 1.3 MB settings. Mr. Simpson was a rear gunner. "It's like sitting on a train or bus going backwards, you've got no idea what's going on," Mr. Simpson said. The squadron attacked the dams with success, but suffered a lot of casualties. 53 men died. Mr. Simpson's Lancaster was hit on the way into the dams, and a fuel tank was damaged. The crew were forced to land in Sicily. "They were very, very lucky," Mr. Simpson said. After flying in 30 trips, known as sorties, he was offered leave. When he came back he found out the 2 guys who had replaced him were killed after the plane had been shot down, Mr. Simpson said. "It's the luck of the draw really." He later met the King and Queen Mother in recognition of his service. Simpson returned to Hobart and Esme after his service in the war, and was admitted to the bar in 1948. He lived to 82. The Dam Busters exhibition artist Dan Llewellyn Hall set out portraying the Dam Busters after sitting with Johnny Johnson, the last living British squadron member. During our sitting he often referred to the crew who he'd clearly developed a strong bond with, Mr. Hall said. "I had very little understanding of how the raid was carried out and its folkloric reputation firstly got me keen to explore." He said his curiosity led him to look at a BBC project that had compiled a gallery of every face of the squadron. Some more sketchy than others. "I reached out as best I could to locate relatives to see if more photos existed of the airmen's lives before that fateful night," he said. The 53 men who didn't return obviously proved to be most elusive in building a profile or for translating into portraits. Each and every man has occupied my head entirely for the past 3 months, and I've had to work hard to get a sense of them to transcend sketchy and fleeting moments in photos. The artist said he usually struggles to work from photos, but he easily detected the anxiety and trepidation and excitement in the eyes of the young men. The portraits will stay together, and we're talking with possible benefactors to buy the series to stay together for a public institution, he said. Now they are reunited. I want it to be a lasting tribute to echo through the generations. It's a perfect illustration of the human condition. Print, email, Facebook, Twitter.